Optimism is more effective than positivity. In fact, I am actively trying to remove the terms positive and negative from my vocabulary. I think they're unhealthy and unhelpful. They're labels that affect people's ability to realistically see situations, but also chase emotions. And I don't think that's good. So let's talk about the difference between optimism and positivity. In my mind, positivity is the idea of chasing an emotion, chasing happiness, chasing some feeling. And the problem I see with that is it ends up causing us to label our emotions, and we imagine that certain emotions are not good and other emotions are better. You should be happy. You shouldn't be sad or angry. So let's talk about that. If happy is a good emotion, then can you explain a time where being happy is not appropriate, is not beneficial for the outcome you desire? Masking depression, death of a loved one, or something significant like you lost your job. There's a grieving process that goes along with loss, of being harmed, whether you're talking physically or somebody broke into your house. Like, there's a grieving process involved, and I don't like it when people automatically go to, oh, don't feel that way. You're basically invalidating how people feel. And it's not about feeling a certain way, it's understanding how you're feeling and then understanding why. And that's the big difference between positivity and optimism is, think about these two phrases. Everything happens for a reason versus, wow, this is a difficult situation. What can I learn from it and what can I do from it? And I've heard lots of people say, especially people of faith, I'm not picking on anybody, I'm just saying, I've heard this of people saying, everything happens for a reason. And it's almost dismissive and sometimes really unhelpful, like a victim mentality. Everything happens, it is what it is. Versus, wow, this is really difficult. What am I going to do about it? One is inaction based and the other one is action based. The second one is self-awareness, self-regulation. What can I do about this situation? And it's an empowerment. So it's an accountability, it's responsibility, it's you doing something about what you can control, locus of control. What can you do about this situation? It's just not about controlling the situation. It's about controlling what you can control and letting go of everything else. And I just see so much irresponsibility when it comes to positivity and going as far as labeling things positive and negative. Because if I say, going back to my example of think of a time where, being happy is inappropriate. My brother passed away earlier this year. I'm not going to go home and mask my sorrow and just live in all this happiness. Yes, I want to remember his life, but I still need to give myself an opportunity to grieve. That is appropriate for the outcome, because if I don't allow myself to experience the grief, it's still going to be inside me. And that's what drives a lot of mental health issues, especially when it comes to grown men who don't know how to act. There's so many conflicting things about masculinity and toxic masculinity and how they should act and how they should not act, and all these things. And a lot of it comes down to, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, so I'm just not going to do anything. I don't know how to deal with my emotions, so I'm just not going to feel any emotions. And we know that is an unhealthy, unproductive way to approach emotional regulation, emotional awareness. So I go back to, I love using myself in as an example. I don't have to pick on anybody and use myself. So I learned that my brother passed away, and I was immediately distraught. Not only mentally and emotionally, but physically. My wife immediately knew something was wrong. And when I told her, it was, okay, we're going home. We were actually on our way to an event. She's like, all right, we're going to go home. And we're to figure this out. And she said it and figure it out, not as in she's going to solve any problems, because there's nothing to solve. It was, we're going to go home and we're going to make sure that there's space to gather information, make some phone calls, but also allow me to start processing. Just lost my brother. Very sudden, and it was a shock, and I needed time to process that. Otherwise, I was not going to get through it in an effective and healthy way. And so rather than being positive about that, it was more of the realistic, this is what's happening, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I can control, I have to let everything else go. I'm not going to be mad at the world, I'm not going to be mad at God, it's what is occurring right now. I'm not making any excuses, but I'm also not making light of the situation either. Sorry, I'm trying not to hit the vehicle in front of me. And I didn't label anything. Happiness was not good. Sorrow or anger or whatever it was that I was feeling was not bad. It just is what it is. There's no purpose, and there's nothing productive about labeling those emotions. Now, my behavior can be labeled because that's something I can control. So it's not the emotion that is positive or negative. It is the way that I think, behave, and act that is either healthy or unhealthy, productive or counterproductive, based on the outcome that I desire. In this case, at first, it was, I just need to process and grieve. Okay. In that process and grief, I need to make sure that I'm not shutting out my family, I'm not treating them bad, I'm not letting my anger getting the best of me, my grief to bring me down to a place where I can't function. My family was there, they helped take care of the situation, but I can't just become non-functioning. I still have to be a functioning adult. And so it was an optimism, as in I'm going to get through this. Again, that's action-based. I didn't say everything happens for a reason. I said, this happened, I'm going to process my emotions, I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to support the people that need the support. I'm going to receive the support that's given to me, because that's something that I also needed at the time, and move through it. And I'm still, to this day, I'm still experiencing a certain amount of sorrow, and I have to give myself grace to just say, okay, that's what you're feeling right now. Be aware of your behaviors while you're processing this grief. So you can put that into any situation. Let's go to something that's even stronger. Let's go to anger. Whether it's something unfounded, like you're driving in traffic and somebody cut me off and this guy doesn't know how to drive and blah blah blah, and it's causing you anger. Whatever is driving your anger is less important than how you respond to it. The environment's going to be what the environment's going to be. Got another saying that I like, that the environment matters less than how you present yourself to your environment. Whether you're an athlete, a performing artist, a business professional, a parent, a friend, some random dude driving in a Corvette in traffic, because there's a dude in a Corvette. The environment matters less than how you present yourself to it. I have a friend of mine that's going into a fairly important meeting. She got some feedback the other day that she didn't really agree with. There were some other things that were going on that she didn't care for. And so she's going into it. She had presented, and the person that she sent the message to said, hey, I appreciate your thoughtful email. Let's meet and discuss. And ever since she got that email, she's been a nervous wreck, wondering what's going to be said. And of course, She's playing all these things out. She's overthinking and ruminating and fortune telling, and right? And so I just kept reminding her to stop trying to predict what's going to happen and process, be a professional, show up, do your thing. You're not labeling, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. That's so bad. I shouldn't be nervous. But you are. Like, why are you going to shut that down? Or why are you going to allow somebody else to shut that down? You are nervous. And there's some responsibility associated with that. Okay, what are you going to do about it, right? And that's the other side of, empathy and accountability. Yes, that's tough. I understand you're nervous because it's a stressful situation. What are you going to do about it, and how can I support you through that? That is optimism. The ability to look at a situation, recognize what's happening, recognizing how you feel, how you're behaving, what's the outcome you desire, and then going and doing something about it. Self-awareness and outcome-based behaviors, not just blind positivity of, oh, everything will be what it's going to be. No, that's you're removing the responsibility for you and your productive behavior and your self-awareness. Some people would disagree with me, but I think that the positivity movement has gone too far. And we need to stop chasing positivity. We need to stop chasing happiness. We need to chase productivity. We need to chase purpose and passion, even on the tough days. I don't want to drive 45 minutes to work Monday through Thursday, but it's part of the role that I play. And so therefore I embrace it. And look what I'm doing. I'm able to talk through, instead of listening to music and books, which is, has its place, I'm able to take some time and make some videos, right? I'm optimistic about the opportunities that I have, even when I have to drive in traffic that I despise, right? That's optimism. So what I would like you to do is just consider those two terms. And I'm going to be throwing some of these things, some of these ideas out in some future videos of, hey, this versus this. I think you need to be better at defining things. That's something that when I taught psychology at a university was I want to actually define some things, because I want to make sure that we have some firm footing. We have some common ground, common language of how we talk about things. And I don't think positive and negative needs to be in that vocabulary. I don't think it's helpful. I really don't, right? I don't want to refer to as a positive emotion. I want to refer to as an emotion that I'm feeling and the productive and counterproductive behaviors that I might experience based on the outcome I desire. That is more akin to becoming more resilient, to becoming a better leader, to becoming more self-aware, and then being able to self-regulate so that you can go out and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish with a sense of control and empowerment, control over the things that you can control, and empowerment to do something about them. So tweak your language and challenge yourself to make sure that what you're saying is what you really intend to say, because you are always listening. It's not even necessarily about communicating with other people. Self-talk is important. The way that you talk to yourself matters. And if you're not using effective language and the terms that you're using aren't clear, then the conversation that you're having with yourself isn't going to be clear. It's going to be vague, and it could potentially go off on a tangent or a path that you didn't intend, that is not healthy for the outcome you desire. So just be more intentional with your thoughts and your words and your language, and understand what it is you're actually trying to communicate. So challenge yourself to think about some of those things. What are some of the words that you use that maybe are a little bit more flippant and they shouldn't be? And then hit me up and let me know. Give me some feedback. Where do you disagree with me? Do you like positivity? Do you like, talking about positivity and using words like positive, negative? All right? I'm not going to argue with you, but I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear your feedback. I'd like to hear your ideas and what you think about my opinions on these subjects. Yeah, I think really strongly about these. I have reasons behind it, but it doesn't mean that I'm right. There's a whole positivity movement, right? There's a whole discipline within psychology called positive psychology. So some people believe in it. Some people like it. I think it's overused, and I think it's unhelpful. I'd love it if you would subscribe to the channel. I would love to see my numbers increase so you can hear I'm making 2, sometimes 3 videos a day. Just my thoughts. If you're interested in what I have to say, I'd love to hear what you have to say, your feedback. So drop me a comment, drop me a message of some kind, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you soon.